Hello and welcome to another video from thefanpub.com. It's Al and Sean back again.
Are you sure it's me this time?
It is you.
That's good. I'm glad, because last time Al got that wrong.
Oh, I'm glad we haven't got a bleepers video.
I think he was going to call me Rex Burkhead. But anyway, what are we doing here today then, Al?
Okay, this is all about value picks, sleepers and deep sleepers from all the teams in the AFC East. So we're starting with the New England Patriots.
Yes, fascinating team.
We've got a joint list here, so we're going...
Yeah.
Our value pick?
Yeah, you announce it, and then you tell me why you've chosen it. I'll add on top.
Okay, well, I don't think it's any big secret. It's Mike Gillisley. We liked him a lot more when he was lower, but we still think he's valued at 56. We'd pick him a lot higher than a lot of the players above him.
And as Al says, we think his ADP is fantastic if you can get him at that ADP or just before. I think that's great value for this season, and that's exactly what I would do. I wouldn't hesitate. There will be question marks. People will question you if you do this, because they'll say, but the New England running game is never reliable.
And that is true to a certain extent.
It is, but there's a difference. As players come into a team, you know how Belichick operates. He will see what works best, and then he will adjust the team accordingly. And the thing that worked very well for New England last year was killing the games off. And they just happen to have the perfect weapon to do that right there in Gillisley. He can take games over, he can kill a game off, and he's a bloody good red zone.
And he's just he's quite close, but he is their biggest back. He's the heaviest back. He's the tallest back. So goal line carry is a good sign for him.
I like the opportunities that are going to present itself with, and I do think he takes over the LeGarrette Blount role, yes. I'm not talking about 18 touchdowns or any of that, but I do think very fancy worthy, yes.
Okay, we've now got two categories. We've got a sleeper pick and we've got a deep sleeper. I mean, sleeper is anybody we like who's sneaky value in the team, but probably going lower down the list. And deep sleeper is anyone pick ADP, average
give or
position,
take 150.
150 or below. So our sleeper pick, we've actually gone for Rex Burkhead.
I'll start it off and then you chip in out.
His ADP is 175.
I mean, when we talk about Gillisley, obviously there's risks. Like any player, there's always you have to weigh up the risks. There's always the chance something happens, he gets himself in the doghouse, and who benefits? And naturally, that player that would benefit would be Rex Burkhead. I think Rex Burkhead, without that happening or some injury to Gillisley, probably irrelevant for this year. But as a late round flyer, I mean, it's a shot to glory. A shot to glory if anything goes wrong. You don't mind owning a piece of it and just seeing how it shakes out. And in fact, I'd probably put the two together quite comfortably in any league, actually.
And it wouldn't cost you a lot.
And have, actually, in Dynasty. So there you
go. Okay, right. A deep sleeper. We've actually gone for Chris Hogan. He is going to be a New England starting wide receiver, as far as we understand it. He's ahead of Malcolm Mitchell on the list. He's going later than him in drafts. Obviously, he's had a few injury, health issues. But his ADP is 225, so he's pretty much free in any draft you want to do.
I think his value is going to be very limited, we know that, but this is a deep sleeper, and as Al rightly illustrates, obviously he is going to get some sort of starting role. Now, it probably is in 3 wide receiver sets, so again...
Well, no, even in 2 wide receiver sets.
Yeah, sometimes, but obviously they've got Cooks now, they've got other players, Edelman, there's a lot you've got to combat out. So I kind of think we know it's going to be limited work, but what we can definitely say, that value, it's fantastic. If anything happens to the guys above him, immediately...
He's kind of doing, maybe the Brandon LaFell role where, he's...
And there'll be some big point opportunity. He could be a best ball player as well. Yeah, he's got potential to be a very interesting best ball player.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the weeks he's fit and he's got Brady thrown to him on deep bombs.
Let's be honest, the New England schedule looks pretty tasty for this season, so, I think, there'll be some opportunities for some of those deep bombs.
And at 225, what's not to like?
When you want to kill a game off, New England are brilliant at it. They'll take their deep shot when they want to kill the game dead and then run the ball for the rest of the game. So it should be interesting. Good pick that out. Well done.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to the Bills. Our value pick, we've gone for Tyrod Taylor at 114.
Yeah, I'll talk about this. He's very underrated. The thing is, I always say about sneaky fantasy players. I know he's, as a quarterback, he's low down on a lot of people's lists, and rightly so. If you've got a league that's only small, 10 or 12 teams, naturally there are other quarterbacks you'll probably take ahead of him. However, as a second quarterback, or even as a first in a large league, he has tremendous sneaky value, because I've highlighted this before. He nearly always gives you 20 to 40 yards on the ground every game.
Well, he's a dual threat, isn't he? So.
And that means that he gets away with some of the mistakes which would normally cost him fantasy points. They don't count against him. So he always ends up with that sneaky 15 to 18 major fantasy points. I think that's pretty sneaky and certainly pretty solid compared to some of the other quarterbacks.
He's quarterback 16. He was a top 10 last year.
I wouldn't expect anything less this year. You know, there's a lot to like about him. And again, if things don't quite go according to plan over there in the Bills, they may need his running ability quite a lot to scramble away. What's not to like about the value that he's going at?
Okay, our sleeper pick could be classed as deep sleeper as well. It's Zay Jones, the rookie.
Yeah.
ADP 163. Do you want to tell us?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he has really going to get the wide receiver 2 job. And we all know the issues hanging off Sammy Watkins. I mean, look, if Sammy Watkins stays healthy, elite, no doubt, great player. But he hasn't proved that he can stay healthy, which means Zay Jones could suddenly be thrust into the limelight. He's got to be the number one sleeper wide receiver for this year. He's got to be the Michael Thomas
deep
potential.
Sleeper, really,
deep sleeper. I would take a shot on Zay Jones. I know there are people out there who'll do the same. In any league format you're in, when you get to a certain point in the league, he's worth a punt. I would definitely take a shot at him.
Okay, so even deeper than him, this probably isn't any surprise to anyone either.
No, one of my
because
favourite
we've talked him up a lot.
Yeah.
ADP 190, Jonathan Williams.
I mean, it's an absolute no-brainer. Look, even no matter what size league you're in, right? If you're at a point in the league where you're picking it's late, you've still got your defence, you've still got your kicker, and you've got one more bench spot you've got to fill. Jonathan Williams offers your team, even if it's just a holding position for a few weeks to see what happens. If anything happens to McCoy, then this guy comes straight in as a 3-down back. I mean, that is a remarkable situation to be in at 190.
And we've talked about this before. The backup running back in Buffalo
always gets some
8 and 10 touchdowns the last 2 years.
Carlos Williams, Mike Gillisley's going on to better ground. We've already talked about him with New England. But Carlos Williams could have been something in this league if only he could have stayed out of trouble. And
Mike Gillisley certainly will be something in this league.
So there's certainly something to like about Jonathan Williams' opportunity. And even if it's a case, it could be a best ball play. You never know. You just never know.
He's the 64th running back off the board, going around Ryan Matthews, Chris Ivory.
Where else are you ever going to find a potential running back that can give you that kind of upside? There isn't anything at that level.
Buffalo run the ball more than anybody else.
I like his opportunity, and I've got... I have my question marks, as you know, around McCoy's health for this year. It's a gut feeling. I do go with them. They tend to be very accurate. I hope he stays healthy, but I don't think there's many more elite.
Make no mistake, if McCoy does go down, this is a guy who'll produce RB1 numbers.
He's got to, because of opportunity. He's got to. So, what an opportunity. Late, worth the risk. I'll take it every day.
ADP 190.
He'll definitely be going into a lot of my teams. I will definitely look to try and cash in if I can on Jonathan Williams. I know that a lot of people will know about him, but I would still take him. So, there's no doubt about that.
Okay, we're going on to... allegedly still an NFL team, the New York Jets.
I heard that they still play the NFL, yes.
Well, play could be loosely labelled at them. Okay, our value pick...
it's not the Jets, they're called the Tanks.
The New York
Tanks, I believe, is the word.
Well, I saw Matt Forte saying don't write us off.
Yeah. We'll talk about it in a minute, actually.
Yeah, so our value pick...
Yeah.
The one we like the most, if you're taking them at their ADP, and he's almost a sleeper, is Quincy Enunwa at 125.
There's not much not to like. I mean, the guy is tough. He has got a huge amount of respect from Brandon Marshall, of all people. I mean, Brandon Marshall really likes him.
He rarely respects anybody.
And that says a lot. His work ethic is brilliant from all accounts. He's a team player. He's earned his way into the team the hard way. He's now got a shot to kind of cement the future.
He could be the wide receiver one there, couldn't he?
I think he's going to
probably
be.
Is.
And to be honest, they are likely to be in a big hole every game.
They likened him to like Des Bryant. So if you're anywhere near that, and you're
look, the truth of it is, at 125, it's a potential wide receiver one in terms of starting. So he's going to be a wide receiver one. Yes, there are going to be games where he's up against some difficult cornerbacks and safeties, no doubt. But you know what? He does run a tremendous route tree. He proved that last year. He's very, very good.
And I think they're moving along the lineup. So he'll be in the slot and then he'll be out wide.
And I do see a big upside. I mean, how big an upside? Well, I think, is it unrealistic to think 80-plus catches is not in the realms of possibility? That equates to at least something like 1,100, 1,200 yards. Realistically, there's anywhere between 6 to 10 touchdowns in that range. What, 125? That's a bargain. So you wouldn't mind a few shares of it. And particularly when you're looking for wide receivers, if you've gone running back heavy, and well, you could do worse.
And our sleeper pick, this might surprise a few people, is veteran Matt Forte.
Yeah,
he's going at 99.
I mean, that's a bargain. I mean, a lot of people are talking up Bilal Powell, and I understand the reasons why, but the veteran has a habit of doing well.
He'll get at least 40% of the carries.
So what's not to like if you've got a certain strategy running? You know, Jets are going to be in a lot of bad situations. Bilal Powell is still an unproven commodity. There are things I like about Bilal Powell. I'm a big fan of his, really, but not this situation.
Yeah, you prefer the ADP to be the other way around for him.
Yeah, if it was the other way around, we'd be talking about him, but his ADP is way too high for me. So 40, I'll take the risk on the veteran.
Good long career, good solid career.
I'd like to see him go out. This would probably be his final year with a good season. You know, a solid season to cement a great career, actually. He has had a tough career in some tough situations.
I mean, if he falls to below pick 100, you're not risking a lot.
You're not going to bat an eyelid with a player like that.
And you never know, do you?
No.
Right, deep sleeper is Robbie Anderson. He's going at 209. Again, he's a wide receiver. They're going to be thrown a lot, aren't they? Because they're likely going to be behind.
It's got a chance to be the wide receiver too. I mean, it's ridiculous at 209 to have a starting wide receiver too. I mean, how good value is that? I mean, I don't mind. You know, Mr.
in a team that's going to throw a lot.
I mean, you know, you don't mind having him on your team. I mean, I know that at this moment in time, fantasy-wise, you look at him and you go, yeah, okay. But the truth is, the opportunity's there. And in an opportunity situation, he could suddenly get 60, 70 balls. If he catches most of them, I mean, which he could, then there's a big upside for a player that's 209.
He's finished 2016 fairly strongly as well, so...
You know, there's nothing not to like. He had 3 really good games at the end of the season, didn't he?
There is something not to like. He plays for New York Jets.
Yeah.
Their quarterback could be dodgy.
At 209, that's not bad value.
There's no risk whatsoever.
You don't mind that.
For a starting wide receiver, it's a no-brainer for a deep sleeper.
So there we are.
Put him on your list. Right, the last team, obviously in the AFC East, Miami Dolphins. Our value pick is Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, he's
fallen far enough now.
He's 4th round. I mean, you know, Jarvis Landry is
ADP 53.
Look, Jarvis Landry, at 4th round, you need somebody who can get you 140 fantasy points. And I think if we look at Jarvis Landry's potential, is it unrealistic to say another 90 catch season is in the offing? No, I think that's very realistic. That's going to give him 11 to 1,200 yards, realistically, right in the middle of that. So we could say 1,150. Or another way to look at it is 115 fantasy points. He'll get his sprinkle of 5 to 6 touchdowns, 140 fantasy points. It's about a safer 4th round pick.
I mean, he's a 23rd wide receiver off the board, turn around Golden Tate, Emmanuel
You don't
Sanders.
want him higher, because that destroys the value. But anywhere in that round, if you're in a situation, think, oh, what player do I take? Because the other ones I liked have gone. You could do a lot worse.
Well, you know, I like to keep an eye on like the training camps.
Yeah.
What I actually heard,
yes,
he's actually been doing a few rushes as well. So he picked up a couple of touchdowns with the same way Tavon Austin.
Well,
did,
the other thing is they took away from him last year, and I understood why they did it. He was one of the things that was quite good. If you're in a league where he was giving kickoff returns and punt returns for scores, if you get that in your league, he used to get 1 or 2 of those a season, but they kind of realised that they had to protect him.
Yeah,
so they took that away from him. But as you say, they're not only are they doing that, but I've heard he's even throwing it now. So there's a couple of like rolling out quick throws. Now this may equate to nothing, but it could be 1 or 2 things. That's an extra, 1 touchdown in the air is 4 points in most leagues. 1 rushing score is another 6, so it could be another 10 points. So suddenly he goes from a 140 to a 150.
If you can get 30 yards a game.
It's all these little differences that can be good. But as far as his ADP, perfect ADP, I wouldn't take him any higher. 4th round, safe as chips, 140. You can't go wrong with that.
Okay, our sleeper is Devontae Parker. Now, we've been a bit harsh on him.
Very hard on him. Yeah.
I mean, he is class, but he has got the talent.
His ADP is currently what, Al?
94, so...
Yeah, I mean, at 94, as much as there are risks over Devontae Parker, I mean, you can see why the experts are warming to him quickly.
This guy has got massive upside. The ceiling for him with red zone targets,
quite big,
touchdowns, he's going to catch a lot of touchdowns.
I think it's quite an interesting quandary here. If you're in a PPR league, Jarvis Landry. Yeah. If you're in a standard league, Devontae Parker, you could do a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely at 94.
Because I think you're right. I think if anybody's going to I mean, last year they were very even in terms of the race to the finish line. Who had the most touchdowns? There wasn't a lot between. I think it was 5 and 4, which is hardly anything to shout about.
But Devontae Parker missed a lot of games.
Exactly, and I think if we're being honest and we were to project accordingly, he's got to end up with about 8.
And again in camp, he's the one that's been targeted in the red zone a lot.
Yeah, and you can understand that because they need to be more efficient. So it's a good pick out. I think it's logical to put him in the mix. I'm not a huge fan of his because of obviously the injuries worry me.
But you can see the talent and the upsides there.
In this list, it makes perfect sense.
Okay, deep sleeper. We said it was going to be 150 below. Kenny Still's going at 148, but we still like him.
But he's only been moving up because we've been talking about him every week, I think. But 148, I think, is a fair shout. He's a wonderful player at 148. I mean, I know he could be a player for best ball. He's a perfect best ball player. But look, as a wide receiver, if anything happens to Devontae Parker above him, well, obviously his value goes through the roof. In 3 receiver sets, he's obviously in the game. When they need to stretch the field, he's in the game. Whenever you need to turn the game around, he's in the game. So he's a guy who finds his way into the game a lot in Miami. So
yeah, and he is a speed merchant. He's a deep threat.
Still got all the tools you need for what he does. And if the defender makes an error in footwork, he's blow past them. So
and he's still young enough. People forget how young he is.
And Tannehill can deliver a good deep ball, as was proved last year. So full credit that he is a good D sleeper.
I think Stills led the team in touchdowns actually with 7.
By a mile.
But he's going he's the third off the list.
I don't have a problem with him as a deep sleeper, and again in certain league situations I would take him.
Okay, well that's our list. Have we missed anybody? Let us know in the comments who are your sleepers.
We always like to hear if you disagree, like what we say, or really don't agree. We love hearing those things.
If you've enjoyed the video, smash that like button and please subscribe. Thanks very much for watching.